Hey everyone, Jake here for American Trucks, and in this video we're taking a look at the AFE Rapid Induction Cold Air Intake with the Pro 5R oiled filter in black, fitting 2019 to 2024 3.6 liter powered Ram 1500s. This intake is going to appeal to you Pentastar powered Ram owners out there who are looking for a premium, no tune required intake that's designed to maximize airflow and performance. This setup from AFE gets you a big oversized filter, some high quality materials to make for a good looking and sounding intake. It's going to make a difference in your driving experience. AFE has been in the aftermarket intake game for a long time, and it shows with their products. And this one I find particularly intriguing because it offers a number of cool features that I think set it apart from the rest of the pack. We're gonna start though in the middle with this filter. This thing is massive. It's about 7 inches tall and it carries a 460 CFM rating, so it's gonna flow a lot of air. This is sort of a weird oblong type of conical shape. As opposed to the flat filter that you get in stock form, that means that you get 360 degrees of airflow because there's pleats on all sides of this. So it's gonna provide you again with much more surface area than you would get with your stock filter. And that's gonna mean that more air can flow through this filter and thus into your engine. And more airflow can translate to better response and some more power. Now this one in particular is what AFE calls their Pro 5R filter. This is an oil design, which is great because that oil on the surface gives you an extra layer of protection to filter out fine dirt and particulates. So especially if you're out running in dirt or on trails, or you live on a dusty road or something like that, this is gonna filter out dirt and debris much better than the equivalent dry filter. And again, it flows exceptionally well. AFE claims that this is gonna flow about 37% better than your factory air filter. And there's another benefit too, because oiled filters can be cleaned, re-oiled, and reused. So maintenance is easy, and this will last you quite a long time. So especially if you plan on keeping your truck for a while, an oiled filter is a great choice because it's gonna save you from replacing it every year or so. But there is more to this system than just this big old filter. In fact, I think the rest of this setup is even more interesting. Now this is gonna maintain a closed box design, but bear with me here because you may not think that. It only includes the lid. So this piece right here is going to replace the lid of your stock air box, but it keeps the bottom half of that stock box intact. And while what you're seeing does not look as though it's enclosed, because it's not, the included weather stripping here is designed to seal around this leading edge and seal to the hood of your truck. So once the hood is shut, that filter is sealed off against the hot engine bay air, and you're effectively getting a significantly larger closed-in air box. And once you open the hood, that means that checking on, removing, or cleaning this filter is super easy. Now, feeding all of that cold air from the box through the filter into your intake is this large solid tube. Now, unlike the accordion style tubing that you get from the factory, this thing is smooth on the inside. I'll show you this end instead. And it is one whole solid piece. So this is going to allow that extra air to flow in a lot smoother than it would with your stock setup. It's also nicely tapered, so it's gonna fit perfectly on the back of the filter and taper nicely down to the actual intake manifold. That also means that you get my favorite part of any of these, which is, of course, more intake noise. It's great because it's quiet when you're puttering around town, but when you really drop the hammer, you get to hear the engine sing. Now, one last point to make is that this is a no tune required intake. So a separate tune or tuner module is not required to make this work properly on your truck. You can just bolt this right on and go about your day. Your truck will function just like it does right now. Now, that said, I always throw in the caveat here that as with any intake, you shouldn't go in expecting huge power gains from just the intake itself. However, you are likely to notice a difference in response if nothing else, and your results may vary depending on what else you have done to your truck or what you might want to do in the future. Now, we're not going to be dyno testing this one to verify power numbers, but you can expect a slight increase in overall horsepower. If you do want to take full advantage of this or any other breather mods like an exhaust, I do recommend looking into a tune, but again, it is not required for this particular part. The filter here is a 5-layer cotton gauze media with a polyurethane frame. Now, AFE claims up to 98.6% filtration efficiency out of this. So that's pretty darn good. And you've got all these deep pleats in here, plus that oiled surface over top. That, combined with those 5 layers of media here, means that this thing is going to be really effective at filtering out the stuff that you don't want to get into your engine. That heat shield that we were talking about earlier is made from 18 gauge steel with this nice wrinkled black powder coat. You've got the AFE logo on the side too. The intake tube is made from cross-linked roto-molded polyethylene, which provides you plenty of heat resistance and durability. You also get all the connectors, clamps, weather stripping, all the stuff that you need to get this installed is included in the box. The only thing you will have to transfer over is your air intake temperature sensor and your 1 PCB line on the back here. But in general, everything is really high quality, as you'd expect from an intake like this. Pricing comes in at about $400, which actually makes this about the most affordable option out there for these Pentastar powered Rams. Now, there aren't a lot of choices, but this is the most affordable one on the market, and you get a lot of good stuff here, including that filter, that nice resonance out of the intake tube, and what is effectively a closed box system with a larger air box. And for those reasons alone, I think this is a great choice for any truck. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should only take you about 1 hour to complete. This is a totally bolt-on installation. You don't even need to remove the bottom of the stock air box like we were talking about earlier. Makes things pretty simple overall. With that though, let's hand things over to one of our AT customers who's going to walk you through the install process.
All right, so there are a few tools that we will need to do this install. Not a bunch, but just a few. We have an 8mm deep socket, a 10mm deep socket, flathead screwdriver, and in my case, because I'm using a drill for my socket driving device, if you choose to use a ratchet, that's fine. If you want to go out and get a electric ratchet, such as like the one Milwaukee has or any of the others, that's fine. But I am using a drill. But note, when you do use a drill, make sure you choke back your torque just a little bit, so that way you don't ever tighten and crack anything. So the first thing we're going to do is come over to the battery, disconnect the negative terminal on the battery, because this will help your sensors reset. Plus, it's just good practice. Very mindful. And then I always like to use a nice little rag or whatever you have in your shop, so that way when you pull your negative, you have something to place between it. All right, so now we're going to come over to our straps. You got a strap on the side of the air box, and you got a strap on the back side of the intake. So we're gonna go on and loosen those guys up and get them out of here. But not before switching to an 8mm socket. Perfect. All right, so now what we're going to do, because this is a bolt-on airbox lid, we are going to take a flathead screwdriver or Phillips, or if you want to use a socket, you can do that as well, but it's like using a flathead because it's close by. And magically, the other screws have already been loosened up because we're just cool like that out here. We loosen up our screws, and what do you know, the OG airbox pops off. Now, I had already put a K&N drop filter on this one, so we're going to take the drop filter out. And then remember, because this is a bolt-on box and a bolt-on system, we're going to leave the bottom of the intake in place. Now we get to hop over to our hoses. We have one hose that comes out the back side of the intake and a sensor that comes out of the side of it. So we're going to hop on out back over here, and there's two little gray clamps. Push those in, and your hose will wiggle off. Just pull him off and just let him lay there where he sets. And then we come down to the side. On the side here, we have our sensor. So we're going to be one that would be very careful when we do this, because we don't want to buy another one. Give it a nice little counterclockwise quarter turn twist. And a little wiggle, and he will come right out. Now here we have the wire where the O2 sensor was, and I just have it sitting off here to the side in a safe space. So now it's time to remove the original neck of the OEM intake. Again, 8mm socket to do it. And then we will also have a 10 mil down under. So once we get the hose loose, we need to switch back over to our 10 mil socket. Hop down the side. We were trying to be gentle, so we won't be so gentle now. There we go. Had to give it a little bit of gas. All right, so now that we removed our 8mm hose here and our 10mm hold in place nut there, we're just going to give her a nice little wiggle wiggle, and it will pop right off. All right, so you guys remember the factory box that we removed earlier? Here is a factory airbox screw. You will need to remove those because we are reusing them. And because of the interest of time, and no one likes to see a guy struggle on a Friday evening, which by the way, happy Friday. I hope wherever you're at, if it's not a Friday, you're thinking of Friday because you don't love Friday, right? So there are the 6 screws we're going to return back into place. 1, 2, 3 behind, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to put in number 6 together. Just like that. And as a general reminder, if you are using a drill, make sure you choke it back a little bit because the last thing we want to do is break out any of the plastic, then you're buying a new air box on top of the air filter. So what we're going to do now is take the filter and stick it in our box. I did remove the ring that comes factory from that comes on the seal, so that way it's a little bit easier to get in here as we are doing this. Make sure our logo is down because we are all OCD, right? Boom, just like that, our filter is in place, but it is not secured yet. All right, gang, next we are going to get back in our box and you're going to find a coupler that looks like this. Nice little shiny coupler, and it is going to set on our throttle body and will be what holds our throttle body to our beautiful new AFE intake neck. So grab a ring, there's 2 rings supplied in the box, and you'll also be switching back over to an 8mm socket. So here we go, we have our tightening ring on our sleeve, on our coupler, and we're just gonna, it will sit perfectly and beautifully as you saw right on the throttle body. Now this is the part, again, we wanna make sure that we're not over tightening anything. So we're going to make sure that we are snug and that the coupler won't go anywhere, but we also don't wanna tighten down so much that we are going to damage the throttle body neck. As you can see, nice and snug in place. Give it a feel around, make sure that it's not coming off the ring anywhere. And then move on to the next step. All right, this next step is a prep step. In the box, you will find a hose along with a coupler. This is for your extension to get to your factory hose there. You probably shouldn't hit that hard. So just a simple, make sure you are using the barbed side and shoving that into the hose. Just like that. Picasso. So while we have room before we put our air tube on, we're going to go on and connect this to the hose. Oh yeah, that nice satisfying click, that way you know everything is connected and everything is in place. And just leave that hang for now. This next step is also a prep step, is what I like to call them. We have our beautiful AFE neck, right? Well, on the side, we have to get ready for our air sensor. For that, you will have 2 individual parts that work together. You will have a rubber grommet, and then you will have the air sensor assembly clip that is more of a plastic. Shove the rubber in first. Make sure to secure both inside and out. Then you will take your sensor locking assembly and shove it in the grommet. Do this off camera because I need to be closer to my body. All right, after some mild convincing and sweet talking, we now have an installed sensor assembly. So now we will go back to our sensor that we have stored over here off to the side very carefully, very delicately. And we will go on and place that in our tube. Make sure we are lined up here. Then once you're in the hole, give her a quarter twist to lock her in place and you're good to go. Now here's where it all kind of starts to come together, right? So we have our installed coupler sleeve, we have our air intake off to the side, we have our hoses installed and ready to go, and our sensor ready to go. So now we're going to go on and just set this out of the way for a second. I'm going to grab our drill with our 8mm socket on it and one of your 2 rings. And we're going to go on and get our clamp rings dry fitted in place, ready to go. One will go on the intake like we mentioned before, and another will go on your coupler. So now this is kind of where the delicate part comes into play, because you're trying to get one piece of tube into 2 very specialized spots on either end of your engine bay. So here we go doing that. Boom, just like that. And now we do want to go on and tighten down these 2 clamps. And like we said previously, we want them to be snug but not tight. Let's go on and fix that for all my OCD friends out there. We do want these to be snug so that way, obviously, your assembly's not coming apart, but also so there's no airflow coming in. But you don't want it to be too tight, because if it's too tight then it cracks and it's just a bad day. So now we move back over to the air filter side on the box. We do have our ring down here that we're just letting it hang out and chill for a minute while we get our arm into place around the seal. You have to give it some love to get in there, and this is where wearing gloves is helpful. I know there's a lot of guys out there like myself and ladies that don't always like to wear gloves because you lose dexterity, but especially in a situation where we have an oiled filter, it just makes it so much easier to get things on and off, and that way you're not carrying around that oil with you when it gets in your skin and your pores, and it's not a fun day after that. So we got our intake in our filter, and we're going to go on and tighten that snug. Oh, and because my clamp is sideways, we're going to this is where being human comes into play, guys. We're not all perfect on the first time, and I want to make sure that we do things right for the best of our vehicle and to the best of our abilities, right? Again, give it one more snug up there. Make sure it's all nice in place, the assembly's in place. Perfect. So now we're going to come back, and we have our hose that we mentioned earlier. We're going to go on and take our hose and place it on this nub right here. And just so we don't damage anything, we are going to go on and pop this guy back out. Just giving him a nice 180 workaround, 360 workaround to make sure we get our hose all the way in as it should be, nice and tight. And then we will reconnect. That satisfying click. Going back down to our bottom here, we're going to go on and plug our air sensor back in. Another nice little satisfying click, make sure everything is still snug and in place. And there is one last piece that we have to put around our box. Here's our seal. And we're just going to take that. I like to start in the back and work my way to the front. But there is a edge on this to where you will slip it on top of the edges in the box. Now this is for the folks that don't go and buy the accessory cover. AFE does have an accessory plate that you can buy that is magnetic that goes on top of here to kind of make it more of a sealed box like the Momentum series or whatever else they have. But for us today, we're just going to use the included seal that came with the kit and just kind of work it around the metal enclosure of the air intake as we go. Alright, now that we have our seal on, it is very important that we just go around, make sure everything's tight in place, because this is what will seal your box to the top of, well, I guess the underside technically of your hood, to give you a nice shield to make sure you're only pulling in cool air from below and you're not sucking in hot air from the engine bay, because of course we all know that will decrease efficiency of your filter. Alright, now we do have one last thing to do here, so we need to grab our 10mm socket and head back to our battery, because it's just time to reconnect our electronics. Always pull up and gently pull away your rag, and when we do this, we want to make sure we do this in one stiff, swift movement to make sure we're not creating any sparks. There we go. Then we will grab our 10mm socket and make sure it is tight to torque, like tight to spec.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the AFE Rapid Induction Cold Air Intake with the Pro 5R oil filter in black, fitting 2019 to 2024 3.6 liter Ram 1500s. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things Ram, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.